Now I seem like a fool. Here it is.
Boom. We are live. Hey, everybody. It's Will Middleton and Kurt Von Onen from LifterLMS. We're going to be live here for the next hour answering your questions about LifterLMS, pre-sales, getting started, tech questions, whatever questions you have. We're happy to dive in. We'll be diving into questions people ask live on the call here. We'll also be diving into some stuff from YouTube and Facebook, and a call we had earlier today had a few overflow questions, so I thought we could start out with those as well. But drop in the comments wherever you're watching us, Facebook, YouTube, StreamYard, Twitch, Twitter, anywhere you're at. We'll see your comment come in, and we'd be happy to dive in, share a screen, whatever we have to do to help you get it figured out. And the first question we could just highlight here from a participant chat, what this LMS deals with. So what is LifterLMS? What at a high level, how does it interact with WordPress? Kurt, do you think you could kick us off with a explanation of what is LifterLMS and why are we here?
First things first, man. Acronyms. I hate acronyms because it leaves half the world out of whatever you're talking about. So LMS stands for Learning Management System. That in a nutshell is what an LMS deals with, right? It is the idea that you have the ability to teach people something and track a group of people through the process of the learning. That's all it really boils down to. And then there's different layers of software or other tools out there that work as a system to help you track the learning. I personally believe that LifterLMS is one of the most fulfilling, feature-rich, most awesome ways to track students, especially in the WordPress environment. But my background takes me beyond WordPress. I've worked with Moodle, Bridge, LearnUpon, SumTotal. Someone threw some names at me, like SumTotal was one that someone reminded me of just last week. There's a ton of them out there, and I've had the pleasure of working with a lot of them. And I really like the way that WordPress and LifterLMS work together to kind of pop the popcorn.
Yeah, and for anyone who's new to WordPress or is unfamiliar with, like, maybe they might just be stumbling across Lifter. WordPress is a platform you can use to create a website with low code, no code. You can use drag and drop editors and stuff like that. So there's still a learning curve to learning how to use the tool, but the learning curve is not as steep as learning how to code. And so that is just really the benefit of having WordPress as a platform for your website host that you can install. And LifterLMS sits on top of a WordPress install as a plugin that expands the features of what WordPress can do. So WordPress can create a blog for you. It can create pages. You could do a website maybe for a restaurant where it just shows the menu, contact information, things like that. But then the plugin ecosystem that me and Kurt are involved in includes plugins like Gravity, Forms, LifterLMS, WooCommerce, these plugins that allow you to take WordPress to the next level and do something more specific with the platform than just creating a blog. So LifterLMS specifically allows you to create online courses, memberships, quizzes, reporting, and all of those features. Yeah. So at a high level, that's what LMS deals with in WordPress and Lifter.
And at a higher level, you don't have to use all that stuff.
Right.
When I first signed up to LifterLMS, and I was a professional trainer at a major corporation at the time, I was like, oh, cool, this does all this stuff. And I activated all these things. And then I drove myself nuts trying to fill all those spaces to make sure that I had a fully featured LMS. And that's the wrong way to do things. The right way to do things is, get a package that matches your use case, implement things in a natural, organic way, grow your community. I mean, there's so many other ways to address what we talk about here, but there's a difference between corporate LMSs and like course creator LMSs. Like a course creator might want to sell their course or have a side gig or a side hustle. Maybe you teach pottery or how to ride a bicycle, or in the last live that we did today, we had someone that shows people how to play the ukulele, right? So there's all kinds of cool things like that. But then there's the corporate example where you're not really selling a course. You're part of a corporation that's saying these 300 employees must finish this content to keep their jobs. Right. That's a whole different environment, right? Now you've got a captive audience, and there's a lot of the tools in LifterLMS that we provide that in that use case, you really don't even need, because you're not worried about marketing or selling. You're just worried about getting content to a captive user group. Right. So, these are all the different things that me and Will are here to talk about. So if you got questions, slam them in there. We said LifterLMS pre-sales and Q&A questions in the chat. Have at it. We got one in there from James Jim. Hey, JJ.
Any limitation on subscription function? I'm asking because we're using Learn World LMS. It limits the user can only have one subscription at any point in time. So that's an interesting question. With Lifter LMS, a user could be subscribed to any number of courses, any number of memberships. The user cannot subscribe to the same membership twice. So if you have, a monthly and a yearly pricing for the same membership, they couldn't subscribe to both. Sometimes this is a challenge where I've heard customers ask, can I sell like coaching? Like I have a coaching membership where people can buy 30 minutes with me or something like that. They set this up as a membership and then someone buys it, 30 minutes they're in, but then they try to buy it again. It says, hey, you're already enrolled. You can't do this thing again. So there are some interesting challenges with certain setups I've seen where you can't enroll in the same course or membership twice, but they could be enrolled in unlimited courses, unlimited memberships on your website. So yeah, if you got 200 courses, one student could enroll in any number of those.
Yeah. And then your use case right there, Will, was a perfect example of Lifter LMS works in WordPress, and WordPress is this wonderfully flexible environment. So if you wanted to add Amelia or Simply Schedule or, any of these other tools like the event calendar, for example, you could find ways to even monetize ongoing coaching appointments on another channel, even though you're using the membership tool to get them in.
Right. So you could use Lifter LMS as a gateway in that way. You're using it somewhat as a paywall to get people into a community, into an environment where they can engage on your platform. And like we did a Buddy Boss webinar earlier today, where maybe that environment you created has social features from a tool, another tool you might add like Buddy Boss. It could be forums. It could be, like Kurt mentioned, scheduling, and all kinds of stuff like that. And I wrote down the questions from our chat earlier, because we did have a few overflow questions. Let me put that here in the chat and then highlight it on screen. What you mentioned about Amelia. I use Amelia, which integrates with Buddy Boss. Does it work with Lifter LMS? I've never used Amelia before, but I'm familiar with it as a scheduling tool. Kurt, do you have experience with Amelia?
Oh, I do. Hold on. I'm filling in one other answer here real quick.
Yeah, no problem.
One is the time, because I'm not like you, Will. My head doesn't work as quickly as yours. I'm old. Amelia is incredibly feature packed and rich. It has a user interface that's a little more old school than like a Calendly interface. So the user interface is a little more opaque. It's not so rounded, and you know what I mean? It doesn't look as modern. But you can put in multiple services. You can monetize it. You can connect your Stripe to it or your PayPal to it. It can sync with your Google Calendar, and then you can sync your Google Calendar with your other tools. It can do messaging. It can do different automations. Amelia is an incredibly robust appointment booking and event booking tool. So I said all that, and that sounds wonderful. Everything that I say is filled with pros and cons. When I look at the cons, the setup takes work. There's a fairly sizable loading ramp for a user or for a a back-end manager administrator to set this platform up. It does take some work, but once you set it up, it's really cool, and you can do lots of things. Like, so you could have 9 different versions of coaching and consulting calls set up. You could have different people. So you could have more, like, so let's say you're a school and you've got 10 instructors. Well, each instructor could have, kind of an appointment calendar setting date thing in that tool. So there's a lot of pluses there. When someone says they want to integrate it with an LMS, though, I always kind of get confused, because it's like, it's an appointment setter. What are you trying to do with the LMS? So like the LMS might be the gateway that gets someone a user account. And so maybe if you lock down that calendar to members only or users only, that would be the integration. The integration would be, I've restricted access to this appointment setting tool unless you're a member or a student. But I don't know that I would technically call that an integration. That's really just using the membership restriction features that come standard with Lifter.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and this was a discussion we had earlier too, that just because there's not a dedicated integration does not mean that the tools won't work together. There's just maybe not a need for the integration where you could just put your Amelia scheduling on a restricted page. I know I have a course where I do that. It's a course product, a one-time course sale. People go through the course, and then there's an opportunity to schedule a meeting with me. One of the meetings is included with the course for free, but then if they want to book more meetings, they just go to the page and book a meeting, but it's restricted, so only members are allowed to do that. And so there's not a specific integration with the booking platform I use. I just have that page restricted. Great example. And another question we had from a call earlier today, this is related to BuddyBoss, and I know, Kurt, you have a lot of experience with BuddyBoss, more than me for sure. Can users have public profiles with BuddyBoss and LifterLMS? It's a good question. I haven't played around with this thing enough. I know when for anyone who's unfamiliar with BuddyBoss, anyone joining us on this call, BuddyBoss is a company that offers a lot of different products. They have a theme, they have a platform, they have an app, but the whole premise is the idea of creating a social experience on a WordPress website. Like we covered earlier, WordPress can create blogs and stuff like that, and static websites. LifterLMS takes it to the next level with courses and memberships, but then this BuddyBoss tool integrates like a Facebook style experience into the website. So some users are interested in not only using WordPress, not only using Lifter, but also integrating BuddyBoss on top of that in order to have like a social experience with courses and stuff like that. So the students create profiles, they can message each other, they can create groups and all kinds of other features. But public profile, I thought profiles are public in BuddyBoss by default.
So that's the confusion in the question for me, and it's actually, I think the question that I receive usually goes the opposite direction. So I've had people say, I only want people of a certain membership level to have a public facing profile, and that's been some of the obstacle. I've referred people to like Codable and to other developers to maybe custom code that, to say, okay, let's have a user role that, gives this option. But out of the box BuddyBoss and LifterLMS expose each user's profile.
Yeah. And so like if someone creates a profile on their website, they could, and of course this could be restricted if you wanted to, because I think BuddyBoss has settings for network privacy or something. I feel I've set up BuddyBoss a few times and I remember something about network privacy. So you could check down.
The user can turn theirs off, but it's not really a restricted setting on the admin side.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, those are some overflow questions we had from that webinar. I think that's all of those questions. Let me delete my note here and dive into YouTube. So anyone joining us live, feel free to drop any questions you have about LifterLMS or setting up WordPress, companion products. We're here as a resource to answer any questions you have. And man, okay, our subscribers on YouTube are growing, so that's awesome. There's a lot of growth being unlocked there. So I'm glad these YouTube streams are going well. We get a lot of good interaction.
Good,
nice.
good. Anyone that subscribes to LifterLMS ought to automatically subscribe to Mañana No Mas and WP Course Creator. What's yours?
You just Google Magic Will Middleton. I just put that name on all my channels.
Magic Will Middleton.
Yeah, like it's a WP Course Guide, but that brand is just not, that brand is bland. I had this discussion with someone yesterday about like, what is that? And it's like, it's not very, it doesn't have a lot of,
old people like bland.
Really?
No, I'm just trying to make you feel better.
Oh, okay.
Here's a good example. We went to a Mexican restaurant last night, and our neighbor, before we went, said, "Oh, I hate that place." And then I was like, "Oh, so it's either really good or really bad, right?" Because I like spicy food. And then we go there, we order. The food was prepared well. The food was good. It has a weird name for a Mexican restaurant. It's called Carlos O'Kelly's. I never heard of an Irish name at a Mexican restaurant. But the food was prepared well. It just didn't have any spice at all. I'm going to break into their kitchen and introduce their chef to a thing called the jalapeno.
So it was too bland for you?
It was too bland. You got to be in their face, Will. What do you want? WP Course, get your act together.
WP course.
Get your act together.
This is, I don't want to, if anyone has any questions in chat, I don't want to like go off the rails. Can we offer, I'll answer this question first and then offer an anecdote. Can we offer a discount to customer if he or she subscribes to 2 courses? That's a good idea. There's not an automatic way to do that, but that is a great way to try to close the sale. What I would recommend doing for that setup, since there's not a feature in LifterLMS that's automatically going to detect, hey, you're in one course, we're going to automatically apply a discount for another course. But what you can do is create a coupon that gets emailed to the customer after they buy any course that says, hey, thanks for signing up. Here's 50% off your next course. We actually do that at LifterLMS. If you buy an add-on like private areas or something, I think you'll get an email that says, hey, you want to buy another add-on 50% off or something like that. There's an automation like that. And so you'll get a coupon in an email like that. And this November, our Black Friday sale, all November Black Friday. I got to pull it up on screen. All November Black Friday, 50% off any product. So you can just get that deal up front. But what you're talking about with 50% off or some kind of discount on a second course is definitely possible. What I would recommend doing is having an email engagement in LifterLMS. I can share my screen too to show you what I'm talking about. I'm talking through it, but I realized I could just show you what I'm talking about. Let me jump over here and then share screen. Share this screen. Boom, add to stage. So this is the backend of a LifterLMS website. And if I zoom in a little bit, I might make it a little more clear. So what we would do is we would have our course, maybe I should expand my screen so I can read my course titles. Saving strategy course. So if people sign up for the saving strategy course, I might want them to also buy the college planning course. So what I could do would be to say, create an email engagement here. Let me just open that in a new tab. So we want to create an email that says, thanks for signing up for saving strategy. And then here's your discount. And of course I should spend more time on this and say, hi, first name. I shouldn't just send them an email that says, here's your discount. We format the email and make it look nicer. But what we can do in LifterLMS is say orders coupons, and then we can create a coupon that would be, maybe I want to do 50% off. So that's my coupon. That'll be my coupon code. So we'll say, here's your coupon code, 50% off. And this coupon code is going to be a percentage discount for 50% off. Any access plan. If I wanted to restrict it, I could say that this coupon code is only applicable on certain courses and memberships, or I could say it's unlimited. So you could use it anywhere on the website you'd like. Let's publish. So now that coupon is created, I have my email template created as well. Let's say that I'm happy with my email and I'm good with sending it to the student email and everything. Then what we would do is go to engagements, add engagement. This is the 50% off discount. Tell me to slow down too if I'm going too fast here.
You got it.
Let's see. So this is an email engagement that's going to say when a student enrolls in a course, when they enroll in the saving strategy course, I want to send them an email. And that email, I think I only have one. Send them this email. Awesome. So I'm going to publish this. So now automatically when somebody enrolls in the saving strategy course, they're going to receive my email with that 50% off coupon code. And that's a way that I would probably recommend putting that together with Lifter as a simple out-of-the-box solution. Of course, you could get more advanced. You could get into WP Fusion and CRMs and tagging and more advanced stuff. But this is probably the simplest minimum viable product setup for that. What do you think of that setup, Kurt? Do you have any other insights for creating that kind of like that cascading effect when someone makes that purchase decision? How can we encourage them to upsell or get even deeper into the program, coaching?
I'm lazy.
You're like,
I'm lazy. All the courses are $49, right?
Yeah.
And then I would just create a series of memberships that would bundle like courses together. So if all the courses are $50, and then I'd say, hey, you can buy any one of these memberships that has 4 courses in them, or it has 5 courses in them for $200. you know? And so then that basically gives somebody a 25% discount to go for a membership instead of an a la carte course. And then I typically go for that, go for broke, and then have that, VIP all access membership, one-time fee of $1,000 or three payments of $350, right? And then people are like, well, hey, wait a minute, that's more than 1,000. Yes, it is. because that's the way I do math. And when I do those types of strategies, I find that can help.
Yeah, and once you have a lot of course sales going, using your average customer lifetime value is a really good way to set the price for your membership. So you have your courses, $49 each, and then you're like, how much should we charge for the membership? Maybe we have 10 courses, $49 each. What are we going to charge for the membership? It's like, you could say if the average customer buys at most 3 courses, then maybe 150 would be the price point, or 100 and what is that, 147? I hope that math's right. So something like that. The price of 3 courses, you get all of them on the website. So once you start to get those sales and track like average customer spend, then you can use the higher end of your average customer spend on the front end as an incentive, and it'll look like a great deal for customers. It'll feel like a great deal for customers, and you'll be getting more lifetime value or a higher lifetime value from those customers for that membership. And recurring revenue is also something I love to integrate. That model we just described, a $49 individual purchase or a membership individual purchase to get everything, does not include recurring revenue. I always encourage people to set up recurring revenue if they can. If you can do some, and it doesn't have to be hard. Recurring revenue doesn't have to be hard. Like you can have a weekly Zoom session, a monthly Zoom session where you are available for an hour to be live with your students answering their questions. It serves as a great way for you to get ideas about what videos you should create to market your website. Because if the customers ask a question, like we get that all the time at Lifter, people ask questions in the Facebook group, and then I would turn around and make a video with the title of the video would be their question. And so it gives you great ideas. It gives the customers personalized experiences, and it allows you to have recurring revenue in your business. So I love doing those monthly style Zoom sessions as a value add for recurring revenue. A simple one. You can get more complicated with community, but simple setup. Basecamp link. In the Basecamp link, question above in the Basecamp link. I don't see question above.
I don't.
Or I guess, yeah, I guess, Vicky, if you could repaste your question in there, we could take a look at that. We'd be happy to.
I do see Sean.
Sean, I was on your earlier Buddy Boss webinar. Thank you for attending. That webinar was awesome. That was probably one of our top webinars for attendance and questions. Definitely top webinar for questions. Number of questions we got, which is awesome. But any time frame for having LifterLMS available within the Buddy Boss app? I'm looking to launch my business. So we actually did have a discussion after the call with Jason. Me, Kurt, and Jason were hanging out talking about that. And the Kurt, oh yeah, Kurt has a good example of Chris Lassiter.
Yeah, I put the link in comments if you want to put it up there. But the link goes to this video. And this is where I just wanted to butt in and say, this is a prime example of why being, an active user or someone in the LifterLMS family if you're on Facebook and you join our group, Chris Lassiter, someone that joined our group, I think back in January, super active. He built this whole really cool thing on AI for teachers. And he made this video to kind of share, what he's kind of doing with a front end builder that he was able to build in his website. That's really pretty cool. But he is also someone that uses the Buddy Boss app with LifterLMS. And so here's the thing. Can I just, Will, can I have permission to speak kind of freely, like my mind?
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's some of the obstacles that you run into with the app. And it's why you're going to have people like Buddy Boss or like LifterLMS saying, oh no, we don't support that, or we can't do that. And it's because nobody's ever happy with the functionality or what is dependent with the app. So when you have a lot of dynamic material and stuff like that you're responsible for in your LMS, there's different codes that put these things together. And a lot of them rely on being connected to the internet to work. and people want to use the app to be able to, like, I don't know, be locked away in a bomb shelter without Wi-Fi and try and take a course. Well, that's just not the way it would work in that situation. So even with Chris Lassiter's example of using Lifter LMS in the Buddy Boss app, you still have to be connected to the internet to pull up that information. So it's almost like having a glorified web browser. And then when I talk to my clients about a mobile app, because it comes up a lot, not just with Lifter, with other projects, I really start to whittle down and kind of like drive into the use case and go, what's the app for? What do you think the app is for? Do you think it's to drive membership? Do you think it's to reduce churn, reduce friction with your customers? Is it because you think people are using the phone? Because if they're accessing your training content on the phone, you can still save a website to the phone with an icon, and it behaves like an app, even though it's the website in its mobile sense. So before you make a huge investment in an app, you really want to explore what your use case is and what you think your real needs are and what your expectations are. Because if you're okay with the app basically just being, the content on a phone, then maybe the Buddy Boss app would work for you, but you're going to have be connected to the internet to see the learning content. That makes sense. Did I say that right?
Yeah, because you still need internet access to be able to send data about like student pass quiz, student completed lesson, and things like that.
It's a lot of folks get really kind of strange when they start talking about their expectations with an app, and the automation and a lot of it's push notifications. Like, a lot of people want the app just to have push notifications. Well, if that were the case, you could have a standard app on any platform and have it link to your website and still send push notifications and use it like a community tool. I mean, there's a, kind of like a sister app. So if you put an app in the Apple Store, right? So if you're on iOS, they take a large cut of any sales that go through the app. And if you try to circumvent sales through the app, to avoid paying that commission, they come after you for that one too. So you need to do your homework on the front end and the back end before you dig your heels in and say you have to have it. Because in many cases, you don't have to have it.
Yeah, and if I could throw something in here too, you could also have an app that does not include LMS functionality, and that's usually what I recommend doing, because the LMS functionality, even within apps that successfully integrated, is kind of not less than what you could do in the web browser version, because it's going to be limited, because it has to go through the iOS store and the Play Store and have specific formatting and all the stuff like Kurt mentioned, restrictions. I think it used to be 30% that they would charge for what you sell through the app. But what I recommend to my clients is to do a Linktree style app, where you could have push notifications sent from the app. You could have links to your resources, your course resources. And I think at that point, we're thinking about the business not as an online course business, but more as like a business that has online courses as a feature, right? Because the app would showcase more of like, here's how you connect to us on social media, here's how you can schedule with a coach, here's how you could sign up for a course. And the app serves as sort of a directory for the student to go to when they're interested in engaging with your content. And I find that a lot more interesting as sort of like a hub. It becomes like a student hub where they're not necessarily doing their full interaction with your business from the app interface, but they use it as kind of the hub or directory for them to go find the places that they're looking for. I don't know. What do you think about that, Kurt? As like a minimal style app that has a few key features?
I'm right there with you. Yeah. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it Circle that does the mobile app?
I think maybe it was Circle's the one that I
think Circle has a mobile app that's kind of affordable. And then you just have a Circle, and then you link it to Lifter LMS, and then when people come to your mobile app, you're basically pushing them to the web for learning content and upsells.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's sort of using the app for what apps are usually meant to be used for. And like, it is revolutionary to have a course inside of an app. Course and membership applications live inside of apps that are on iOS and Android devices. So it's cutting edge stuff. And that's why we see some products starting to adopt it. And like starting to try to experiment with it and see if it's viable, if people actually interact with courses on the app or interact with memberships on an app. more than they would in a web browser. And I don't know, my perception is skewed towards web browsers because I work in web browsers all the time, so I'm more comfortable with them. But I don't know. We'll see how that ends up working out in the long run. But this is another question. Excellent point. I'm sure many of us have debated whether to go for an app versus a course membership platform. And I think what business size do you think you'd want to have before going for an app, Kurt? I think that's a good question as well. Is like, at what I like to build businesses around questions our customers ask directly and like solutions for those. But I mean, do you think there's a certain business size where the app would be a good experiment to try? Or like, I feel like a lot of my customers who ask me about, should I have an app? I'm like, that's not really what we should focus on right now.
We should focus on getting your first 25 paid users.
Right. Right. At least that.
Yeah. So I have a very simple answer for that, Will, and it's 20 to 25,000 active users.
Okay.
Which is huge. That's huge. And people will ask me, they go, where'd you get that number from? And I'm like, well, if I take $1 to $1.50 for each of those active users, I can afford custom development for my mobile app.
Okay. Yeah. That
right?
That makes
sense. Because how much of my margin am I willing to cut into if I already have a viable product and I already have users, right? How much of my margin am I willing to cut into to develop a new channel? And for me, that I'm not willing to cut in that much. So, hey, if it's $50, $100, $150, there's a new study that came out last week. I saw it was linked through LinkedIn. It said something like the average e-learning course sells for like $153. Right. So now if I suck out my development time, my hosting, my software, my plugins, and I get down to what my net margin is, how much of that am I willing to reinvest for a mobile app? On a percentage basis, it's less than 5%.
Okay.
So I need 20 or 25,000 users to justify making a mobile app.
That makes sense. This is a question from Vicky on BuddyBoss. One, does BuddyBoss have a theme especially for LifterLMS? Does BuddyBoss have a theme specifically for Lifter? It's not a theme that's different than the themes for other LMSs. It's just that the BuddyBoss theme has styles that support LifterLMS. So like Kurt mentioned on the webinar earlier, like LifterLMS private areas is like an add-on from Lifter, but BuddyBoss has styling to make it look good. They have styling to make lesson pages look good and stuff like that. So they would also have the same or similar styling for other LMS tools, but it's just the BuddyBoss theme. You don't, I don't think you need a specific integration, do you?
No.
Okay.
No. Almost everyone, I'm trying to think, every Lifter LMS site I've used with BuddyBoss is a BuddyBoss Pro with BuddyBoss themed website.
Yeah. And that creates that look of like the demo. If you look at lifterlikes.com/BuddyBoss, you can try a demo. It's a 30-minute free staging environment they give you where you can play around. lifterlikes.com/BuddyBoss, and that will that demo site is using their theme, it's using their platform, it's just using all the BuddyBoss stuff. So that's, people look at the demo site, they like what it looks like, and so if you want to replicate that exactly, that's where you would use all their stuff. But some people are fine with just the social features, and then they want to use LifterLMS SkyPilot as a theme, and something like that, or to customize it more.
Just a side note.
Yeah.
Feel free to make fun of me if you want. I don't really care at this point. I was working in my own website yesterday, and I've gone to making consistent featured images for my courses using Canva. So they're themed, but they're kind of like dynamic looking. They're not just stupid pictures. They're like, they have styling to them. And I was looking at my own website and I was like, God dang, this looks good. Because it's on SkyPilot, so it's a SkyPilot course catalog and then featured images that make sense. And man, it just looks good. Like the formatting, the spacing, all of it is, I'm like, man, this is sharp.
Is it wp-elearning.com?
Oh no, not that one. I was talking about my Mañana No Mas site.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
my
yeah.
Mañana No Mas site is a so that's a combination of Maxi Blocks and SkyPilot. Mañana No Mas.
Mañana no mas. Okay. I missed out. Yeah, we got to show it on screen now. We got to go through this and let us know in the comments what you think. So you said the featured image of the courses.
Yeah, so if you went to like the course catalog, which is under the About Us.
Nice. Oh yeah, so you got the same. That's another good tip for anyone watching who's new to LifterLMS, new to creating courses in a catalog like this, is to have that standard formatting of like, I don't know what you did here. Is this 16 by 9 or something like that?
16 by 9. I typically cheat and use the YouTube thumbnails. I like YouTube thumbnails. The sizing's nice, and the formats, the templates they give you, I like them. They have more styling.
Yeah, this looks nice. And you have Buddy Boss on this site, or is this just a SkyPilot?
No. This is just SkyPilot, and then it's the same with so this has some Maxi Blocks and some SkyPilot in it. So a lot of the things you'll see in like the bodies in like the home and the About Us page, those are Maxi Block containers that have Maxi Block features in them.
Oh, like this thing?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, like this thing. Yeah.
Dude, you're gonna get accessibility issues on that right there. Like it's
sure I will.
That's a bit hard to read. But I mean that's all right. Did you hear, this is something I heard on a WordPress meetup this week. I love WordPress meetups, and I'd encourage anyone watching to get engaged with WordPress meetups, is that and if you build websites for other people, is that there's apparently a pending law in California that the web developers can be held liable if the website that does business in California is inaccessible or something, because it's so it is, accessibility is becoming more and more of a thing. So it is always good to like more and more of an enforced sort of standard, I guess, enforced standard. So it's important to watch out and make sure that you have high contrast. There's free tools online you can use to scan your websites. Like I don't even know the names of the laws, but the scanner accessibility audit tools they'll read your website automatically and tell you, hey, you should change this, you should change that. I'd recommend doing that, especially going forward, building sites that'll be up for the next 10 years, because more and more of that stuff is going to come into play, where privacy and accessibility are going to become more important parts of WordPress sites. So just there's nothing in effect relative to web developers right now in that capacity, but it's just keeping an eye on the future and seeing where things are going.
That's why I escaped California. You ought to look at hashtag escaping California. Hashtag escaping California.
Oh, that's your tag on TikTok.
It's trending, bro. It's trending.
It is. You are, yeah. But yeah, I guess this is a question from Vicky in chat. Are forum discussions available to be posted within a course, or would the user need to do something to leave the course, go into Buddy Boss? So yeah, I guess Jason had answered that earlier on the webinar, that it is possible to embed a topic inside of a lesson. I haven't used Buddy Boss enough to know exactly how to do that, but I guess there's a short code available for the topic, and that short code could be embedded in a lesson. I guess, Kurt, have you ever seen those short codes for topics? I haven't gone that deep into Buddy Boss.
Never used it.
Never used it?
Never used it. But remember when we were talking to Jason, I was talking about how I kind of look at websites as being a department store, and it doesn't matter what section of the store you shop in, you're going through the same cash register. Yeah. And then Jason made it even better. Said, "Oh no, you concierge walk you around, blah blah blah." And so then he made me rethink this a little bit. But I've always just left things separate. I've never really commingled them, because I figured the user's there and they have access to all of it, right? But I can see from the concierge standpoint why, like, force feeding someone a topic from a forum inside a lesson might spur more interaction. But here's the caveat again. You have to have enough active users actually in there using it and posting comments, or it looks like your site's a big fat failure. Like
Oh yes. So you
yeah,
have the
to me
community.
that there needs to be interaction in these channels that you provide, because if there's not interaction in those channels, it's like going to a nightclub in the 80s when nobody's dancing.
Right. Right. So that is
I
an
don't know
important
what the link is. She says that there's an error in the link for Lifter LMS, but I pulled up the Lifter Likes thing and it went right to the Buddy Boss demo.
likes Buddy Boss.
Yeah, and Lifter's working. So Lifter LMS is up. The Lifter Likes, lifterlikes.com/Buddy Boss is working. And I went to the demo through that page just to make sure that that was working, and it was there. So I don't know. That's weird.
Interesting. Yeah, if we'd be happy to provide other links if you're looking for certain resource, we can provide that. But I wanted to share. We were talking about branding and personal projects, and while we have a break, we have 15 minutes left. I should go get comments from YouTube and Facebook. But real quick, I bought the URL wpgrandson.com. We were talking about branding because like I feel like that's kind of my perception in the ecosystem is like the tech kid. So we'll see where that goes. That might be an opportunity. So what was I doing? I'm going to YouTube. I'm already in YouTube. This is a good comment. This is a comment that Nick on our team was talking about earlier this week is how do you handle math questions like LaTeX questions? These are math formatting is like, you know, where you have like square roots and long division and all this kind of stuff. And you can't really type that in the standard in the WordPress pages. You could add a plugin to your WordPress website that allows you to format these complex math expressions, and then I think you can get short codes to represent the this is not going to be a super well fleshed out answer because I don't really use LaTeX and I haven't used it in an example, but I think they give you a little short code that you can put into text fields and it populates that complex math setup. So I would recommend checking out plugins that support LaTeX, and it will work in the WordPress editor, of course, in your lessons, but what we're more specifically taking a look at would be inside of quizzes, for example. So inside of the course page, inside of the lesson pages, plugin would be able to format that. And maybe I could just do that live here in the background. That would be an interesting thing to try. Nick on our support team, he's like an all-star at support, was talking about how this is possible short code. So we'll see if any of these plugins work, because there's so many options here for supporting this style of formatting. Let's just install the first one I find and see what happens. That's not a Lifter LMS official thing. Install the first plugin you find and see what happens, but that's just kind of what I do.
Slap it in there, see what happens.
So how does this thing work? Do we have tools or something? Settings? Well, we got some settings. What is this? Is it like a block? I should read the description of the plugin. I just clicked install. There we go. So what does this thing do? Can I get a description? View details?
You're trying to answer your question, but I'm answering someone in Facebook.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Okay, so you may embed LaTeX using a variety of different syntax. The shortcode syntax is preferred. So let's look at this. Let's try this shortcode as an example.
Let's do this thing.
Let's try that as an example. So if I go to a course and I'll open a quiz, I'll also open the lesson editor, and we'll see if this works for formatting in the lesson editor first. So if I were to edit one of my lessons, I were to insert the shortcode, let's see what I get. Let's just put that on the page and see what happens. View my lesson.
Look what you're doing to me.
I don't see my.
I got to see if I can learn something. I got to put my specs on.
Maybe it's a shortcode block or something. Let's try this. Update. So I have a shortcode block. Also, I'm still not seeing this. Is that just like an example, or do I have to create my LaTeX? I don't. Let's go back over here. Enables rendering of text with LaTeX and MathML. This plugin is designed specifically. This ensures that MathJax loads. Not loaded for all pages, but it only loads when the shortcode's present. You may embed it using a variety of syntax preferred, so work out of the box. So it likes to use shortcodes. Why isn't it working for them? Interesting. Let me try it in a quiz. Let's try it in a quiz. I'm gonna keep playing around. So if we open a quiz, create a new quiz, we're going to do a multiple choice quiz. And this is going to go here, and I'll also put it down here. And we want pre-formatting. All right. Let's save changes and see what we get. If I view my lesson and then take the quiz, start the quiz. But that's not doing what I want it to do. One of the YouTube videos in the next cycle that we're going to ask Nick to do is explain how this works. So I might not be able to get a great example of this here on the stream, but there are some possibilities that he was able to work out with someone in support. So hopefully we'll be able to bring that to the surface of the community and share that with how you could have that complex formatting. And if you are interested in a more specific answer, help@lifterlms.com. If you email that, I can ask Nick to respond to your ticket with his answer. I could always dig through Help Scout and find the answer, but that would take like 20 minutes, which we don't have on call. So I want to make
got
sure
11.
But experiment with those other plugins and that we saw on the list when I clicked plugins, install new. And if you are watching the stream, help@lifterlms.com is an email you can always email to get more specific answers than what I can come up with on the top of my head.
I got one for you, Will.
Yeah.
I want to see if your answer is different than the one that I put in. Chris Lassiter, friend of the show, friend of the company, he added on our Facebook groups, is there a way for a group admin in Lifter to download one of their team's certs or leave notes somewhere on their team member?
Good question. Not with LifterLMS groups, so it wouldn't be LifterLMS groups because they can't leave comments on their users. I'm thinking something regarding user roles like instructor assistant might be something they could do, whereas if the team leader was an instructor assistant on the WordPress site, then maybe they could view the students, and if I pull up the screen share, I could try that example. So if I'm getting it right, they're trying to have them on the back end of WordPress leaving comments for users, or?
I'm not exactly sure his exact use case, but like in my mind, I was like, if I was an admin and I wanted to download a copy of a certificate for a student, the easiest thing I can think of is the user switching plugin. I would just switch to that user, go to the dashboard, download the certificate, and then mail it, print it, copy it, staple it to my wall, whatever. But that's me thinking shortcut and being lazy. I was wondering if there was something else here because he said leave notes somewhere, and I was like, notes. I know there's notes plugins, but I'm not exactly sure where I would put a note or how I would use a note.
Right. And I'm trying to see, like, so this instructor assistant is now, and I was thinking maybe Lifter private areas would be a reason for notes, but then the user would have to be an admin of the website to be able to access that interface. The instructor assistant would have to be assigned to the course, but then they would have access to reporting, right? Because instructors assistants have access to, but they don't have students, right? Let me switch back to Arthur Wells, because if we can get the user access to the student interface here, what they could do is see the certificate from right here. Now, I don't know if this user has a certificate. They don't. But if they did, I could just award them a certificate. They could download the certificate from right here. So the instructor role would work for downloading a certificate. Instructor assistant, I think, would also work for downloading certificate capabilities. But then leaving comments to students, I don't know about that piece of the question. So yes, to the question about downloading certificates, it would be something regarding instructor assistant or instructor of a course. Maybe just making them the instructor of the course as well, allowing them to download the certificates from reporting, but then leaving comments to a certain student might be some other application. Just trying to think, oh, like a buddy boss thing or something where they could direct message the student. Is just what I'm thinking of. I mean, have you seen a lot of instructor-student interaction that happens outside of private areas? I've seen comments on lessons. I've seen private areas. I've seen third-party integrations like bbPress or BuddyBoss or something like that. But I don't know how an instructor could leave a comment to a specific student. without just direct messaging them.
Yeah.
Or grading an assignment or something like that. But in this case, the student would not have submitted an assignment.
Yeah. And in this particular instance, I wonder if he's talking about a note for other people, other admins to see and not the student to see.
Oh, okay. Well, that is interesting. If it was that case, then you have notes on the user. It's not a feature of Lifter, but anybody who can edit users in WordPress can add notes to that user that are only visible on the back end, I believe, right? Like there's a bio, but I thought there were notes on here too. Fields. No, maybe it's bio. It's bio. So students don't have access to view the bio field, I don't believe. So you could leave it there. You might also be able to have like,
but
you could have a custom field with LifterLMS too, like a custom field with LifterLMS custom fields that lets you put notes on users. That's easy.
Yeah.
They have to be able to edit users, so they would have to be some sort of website admin. That is a really good question. Chris Lassiter always asks like the most difficult questions, but that's good because he did the research to figure out like where he gets stuck. And yeah, that there's got to be some kind of capability to edit users, or even, I mean, Chris Lassiter likes custom development. So if he's watching this, the custom development route would be something like you'd add a new post type in WordPress called like user note or something, and then one of the fields in that post type is the user that the note is supposed to be associated with, and then instructors have permission to view and edit that post type, and that post type is available in the WordPress dashboard. So like back here in the WordPress dashboard, we would have like user comments or user notes or something as another post type, and then it would be associated with certain users, and then at instructor role could edit that post type. That would
that's a good call. Custom post type.
Yeah. But then, and probably most of the people watching the stream wouldn't know how to put that setup together, but I know Chris likes custom development and the API and stuff like that. So
it's a great pre-sales discussion for people just getting their feet wet.
Just getting their feet wet. Here's how you can custom build this thing.
Well, the cool part, I mean, think about it. If you're in pre-sales right now and you're watching this or watching a replay of it, what you should take away from this is, holy crap, this is flexible. I could grow this into whatever I need it to be down the road. And that's kind of the cool thing. I've started looking at like more of the automator WP things and WP Fusion things and things that I could leverage and pull together. And I've realized that I have horribly underperformed on my own personal projects while building really cool things for customers. So I kind of need to, it's like never buy a mechanic's car, right? It's like I need to catch up my own projects a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I bought a house that was built by a construction worker, and it's a mess.
Not a straight angle in the house.
No. In the basement, there's like pegboard that you use at a store to like put metal hooks on to like hang merchandise. That's like the wall in one of the basements because that's what he had left over. It's like
he's a genius.
You can see into the wall, and it's like, okay, it's cool. It's a good feature, I guess, but
you could put lights behind it, bro.
You're more creative than me. That's a really good idea.
Put like a rainbow of lights in there and have them kind of like flicker like a cloud.
That's a brilliant idea.
Put LED lights behind there, packed in with a little bit of cotton puffs from Michaels, and then it would look like clouds in a rainbow with a lightning storm.
Do you think you'd be able to see that through the holes?
Yes.
Okay.
It'd be like a muted hue flashing.
That's pretty smart. Now I want to replace all the walls in my house with that. Or the what's that called? Like the surface of a wall. It's not the boards that support the wall. It's not the supports, but it's the surfacing. I don't know. Whatever the alternative.
Framing, the drywall.
Yeah. So like just rip out all the drywall. Fascia.
You can call it all kinds of things.
Very cool. Yeah, then we're at about the hour now. We got so many questions coming in. 70 gigabytes is not enough.
What? Did I miss something? I didn't see a question.
Oh, I'm just reading through YouTube comments and stuff like that, but and Facebook comments. But
How many gigabytes isn't enough?
70. This user says 70 gigabytes is not enough and 200 gigabytes is too much. Is there another flexible plan? This was on a video about that it looks like Chris had done about protecting your course membership site revenue with video privacy. I don't know what that's about. I think that's probably like
About video hosting.
Yeah, something about video hosting. So they're just talking about the plans.
Yeah, video hosting.
Very good. Man, that was a fast hour.
Was a fast hour. I'll see you in another hour.
Sounds great. We'll be live, Will and Kurt, in Zoom for LifterLMS Office Hours Mastermind. Do we have a guest this week?
We do.
Okay,
Alex.
cool. We have a guest this week. Alex Standiford?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
I even put his picture on the announcement.
Very good. Okay, awesome. So yeah, if you want to hop in the LifterLMS Office Hours Mastermind, it's available to Universe and Infinity level customers. I'm sure we have some of you watching on this call, but if you have the LifterLMS Universe or Infinity bundle, you can buy it 50% off with the LifterLMS Black Friday sale all November. We're going to be live with guest Alex Standiford. He knows a lot about how to code and build WordPress products. He was big in developing Affiliate WP. That's a product you may have heard of in the WordPress ecosystem, and he builds his own products and courses and stuff with Lifter. So we'll be live 1 hour from now, Will and Kurt and Alex in Zoom, and you can ask any questions you have there as well. Thanks for joining us in this stream. We'll catch you in the next one, and until we see you, stay cool.